Coronation Street's Ollie Driscoll fears that Megan Walsh is messing with Will's head again next week, after Susie hears the twisted teacher's voice on his video games console. With Megan's court case just around the corner, is Will at risk of falling back into her wicked web? When Susie sits down for a turn on Will's gaming system, she clicks on a player going by the name of Minimog16. But little Susie has the shock of her life when she hears Megan's voice through the headphones. After hearing Megan's voice, Susie identifies herself, but the player disconnects without saying another word, explains our Corey source. Susie rightfully tells Ollie that she heard Megan speaking through her brother's device, so he and Maggie storm into the Rovers' living room to catch Will in the act. Might they discover that Will is still being manipulated by his groomer, just days before her trial? The week begins with Ben, Eva, Maggie and Melanie at loggerheads over whether Will should testify at Megan's hearing in person or via video link. As the conversation heats up, Will decides to leave the adults to it and sneaks out of the room. But rather than mull over his troubles alone, Will confides in Tim Metcalf, telling him that none of his relatives thought to ask him how he would like to present himself at the trial. Feeling protective, Tim, who was also groomed by an older woman in his teenage years, accompanies Will back to the Rovers, where he insists to Ben, Eva, Maggie and Melanie that they need to start listening to Will. Are the Driscolls prepared to take Tim's point on board, or continue to clash with each other? After confronting Will about Susie's discovery, Ollie takes a moment to explain to his younger brother that he knows that he's still talking to Megan. Ollie tries to put things into perspective for Will, shares our spy. He reminds him that it's not long now until Megan's trial, and she's only contacting him to try to manipulate him before he takes the stand. It's a sensitive moment between the two brothers, and hopefully Will can see where Ollie is coming from. With Megan set to face Judgment Day, will she end up tricking Will into doing her bidding so that she can walk free? Or will the teenager hold his ground and remember Ollie's words of wisdom? The walls were closing in on Megan. For weeks, she had convinced herself that she was smarter than everyone around her. Every lie had been carefully crafted, every excuse delivered with confidence. But as the trial loomed closer, the pressure was becoming impossible to ignore. Megan sat alone in the corner of Roy's Rolls, nervously stirring a cold cup of tea. Across the street, Weatherfield carried on as normal, but she couldn't shake the feeling that everyone was watching her. Because deep down, she knew her secret was hanging by a thread. Earlier that morning, D.S. Swain had paid an unexpected visit. The detective's questions seemed innocent enough, but Megan sensed there was something beneath the surface. "Where were you exactly that evening?" Swain had asked. Megan repeated the same story she'd told dozens of times. At least, she thought she had. Unfortunately, she didn't realize that one tiny detail had changed. One mistake. One inconsistency. And Swain noticed immediately. By lunchtime, whispers were already spreading around the cobbles. Carla had heard something from Lisa, who had heard it from a police source. Nobody knew the full story, but everyone sensed trouble. Meanwhile, Sarah was growing increasingly suspicious. She had defended Megan for months, refusing to believe the accusations being thrown around. But now even she was beginning to wonder whether Megan had been telling the truth. That afternoon, Sarah confronted her. "Megan, is there something you're not telling us?" Megan forced a smile. "Of course not." But Sarah wasn't convinced. "You've changed your story again." The words hit Megan like a slap. For a brief moment, panic flashed across her face. Sarah noticed. And that single reaction told her everything. Back at the station, detectives were reviewing new evidence connected to the upcoming trial. A recently recovered phone contained messages that appeared to contradict Megan's version of events. While the evidence wasn't enough to guarantee a conviction, it was certainly enough to raise serious questions. Questions Megan couldn't answer. As evening arrived, she found herself cornered once again. This time it was Betsy who challenged her. "I know you're hiding something." Megan laughed nervously. "You don't know what you're talking about." Then why are you so scared? The question lingered in the air. For several seconds, Meghan couldn't respond. Because Betsy was right. She was terrified. Terrified that the truth would finally emerge. Terrified that the trial would expose everything. And most of all, terrified that the people she cared about would discover just how many lies she had told. Later that night, Meghan received a shocking phone call. Her solicitor had urgent news. The prosecution had uncovered a new witness. Someone prepared to testify. Someone who claimed to have seen Meghan on the night in question. The color drained from her face. This wasn't supposed to happen. She had spent months covering her tracks, making sure nobody could place her at the scene. Yet somehow, someone had come forward. The witness could change everything. Unable to cope with the pressure, Meghan headed out into the dark streets of Weatherfield. Rain poured from the sky as she wandered aimlessly, her thoughts racing. Every decision she had made now seemed to be coming back to haunt her. Every lie. Every manipulation. Every betrayal. As she stood beneath a streetlight, she realized something frightening. The trial itself was no longer her biggest problem. The real danger was that people were beginning to uncover the truth before the courtroom battle had even started. Back on Coronation Street, Sarah shared her concerns with Carla. I think Meghan's hiding something massive. Carla nodded grimly. I've been thinking the same thing. The pair agreed to keep a close eye on her. What they didn't know was that detectives were already preparing a dramatic final move. A move that could destroy Meghan's defense before the trial even began. As the countdown to the courtroom showdown continued, Meghan returned home exhausted and shaken. Her phone buzzed. A new message appeared on the screen. 3 chilling words. I know everything. Meghan froze. Her heart pounded. Who had sent it? What did they know? And more importantly, how much time did she have left before the truth exploded across Weatherfield? One thing was certain. Meghan had been caught out before. But this time, there might be no way back. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.